Thank you very much, great people all over the world, the wonderful people of Ambazonia, my own flesh and my own blood, my own kith and my king. It is a unique honor and privilege to share the same platform with one of your leaders, the leader of war of Ambazonia, Dr. Cho Ayuba, who is here today representing the aspirations, the wishes and the hopes of Ambazonian people all over the world, and more critically, the leader of Ambazonia himself, the president who is incarcerated in a prison in Yaoundé. A man I hold in great esteem and admiration. Our hearts, our prayers, our thoughts, and our hopes, of course, go out to him, and we do hope he will be released very, very imminently. My dear people all over the world, Biafrans and Ambazonians, we stand on the brink of history on this very day. Today is the 9th day of April in the year of our Most High Elohim 2021. It is a day that will go down in history, the history of Biafra and Ambazonia peoples, and indeed the history of Africa at large. As a day that our peoples came together with close ranks, identified our common problems, and crystallized it in a speedy emergence of these very two nations. We Biafrans and Ambazonians have resolved from this very day to do what we must do and everything humanly possible to ensure that we change not only the narrative, but to begin the process of the eventual reclaiming of our long shared collective heritage, a shared heritage that goes back to the beginning of time. Today we are indeed on the brink of history. A lot of people never wanted us to get together. A lot of people never wanted us to identify with one another. Those who are benefiting from our misery and our pain, today we have reduced all of them to nothing. Because genetically and culturally, Biafrans and Ambazonians go back to the beginning of time as original peoples of southern Nigeria and southern Cameroon. Geneticists have sequenced and dated the DNA of Biafrans and Ambazonians and discovered them to be one of the oldest DNA on planet Earth. The earliest culture builders on planet Earth, known to archaeologists and anthropologists as the Bantu peoples of Africa, originated from within the regions of Biafra and Ambazonia. We are old people. We are the people of the ancient. From these very Biafran and Ambazonian regions, the Bantu homeland and the cradle of human civilization, the great Bantus migrations of 1500 BC to 2000 BC took place to introduce our collective civilizations to other corners of Africa and beyond. The history of our two peoples, Biafrans and Ambazonians, has indeed been intertwined and shared from time immemorial. Our forefathers were very much aware of this shared heritage and destiny of Biafrans and Ambazonians. And at different times in history, the coming together of Biafran and Ambazonian peoples under collective leadership and cooperation has produced radically rewarding results. We should perhaps mention a few examples here. Examples of the powerful and rewarding results that Biafra and Ambazonia partnership could produce, we are seen in the liberation of Haiti, a former slave colony of the French between 1791 and 1804 through a historic revolution. Our people are noted because they are warriors. Ambazonians and Biafrans alike fought side by side as one people in Haiti that made Haiti the first black nation on this very earth to shake off the shackles of slavery and domination. This is the origin of such extant Asian phrases as Igbo Gramon and Igbo Lele, as you have today in Haiti. Similarly, during colonial invasion and the subsequent colonization of these regions, which was nothing but a sophisticated form of slavery, our peoples, Biafrans and Ambazonians, fought colonial enslavement with everything they had. The exploits of Ekumeku, the secret society of freedom fighters in Biafra land that engaged the British invading colonialists for over 3 decades, is still very fresh in our minds. Again, it was to people from Biafra and Ambazonia that the burden of ending colonial occupation politically in the region fell on their shoulders. Hence, we have the activity of the Nigeria Council, the National Council of Nigeria and Cameroon, NCNC, of course, well superintended by Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe, which was coordinated by nationalists from Biafra and Ambazonia as reference in the anti-colonial movement that would produce the present Berlin Conference design states like Nigeria and Cameroon, which unfortunately Biafrans and Amazonians are suffering untold hardships under. The sufferings and pains of Biafrans and Ambazonians are carefully and diabolically designed neo-colonial schemes to ensure that our peoples, who are natural leaders of the black world, never develop or make any progress, consequently leading to the subjugation of the entire African continent in perpetuity. This diabolical neo-colonialist scheme has not succeeded because the colonial enslavers simply decreed it into existence. No, it was succeeding because some fellow black people or Africans decided to make themselves willing tools in the enslavement of the rest of their brothers and sisters, and this is something that we are determined to bring to an end. This trend is by no means a recent trend. It is indeed a trend that is as old as the Arab enslavement of Africans and will be perfected through the European enslavement and colonization through invasion of the rest of Black Africa. In Africa, there are groups whose whole economic existence and their worldviews have evolved around their collaboration with those who have no value for African lives and want to destroy Africans by every means. That is how the phenomenon of the Fulani terrorist proclivity have been created over the ages to destroy everything that is African. It is a proclivity that has engendered the existence of not less than 6 or 7 terrorist groups that are owned and operated by the Fulani people, terrorizing people and grabbing their lands across West African sub-region, as well as the areas bordering the entire Gulf of Guinea. It is a proclivity that has been enabled by some evil people, both outside and inside Africa. Both Biafrans and Ambazonians have been victims of this evil. And today, going forward, we have resolved to bring it to an end. Over the years, our grandfathers and our grandmothers have stomached this terrorist proclivity in the hope that it would go away somehow. But it's clear to all that after so much turning of the other cheek, because when they slap us on one cheek, we turn the other cheek for them to slap as well, and payment in blood, these bullies never ever became reasonable. Instead, it has emboldened them. This is part of the reason why Biafrans and Ambazonians are coming together this very day to confront our collective enemies together. We are also coming together to rediscover our shared biological and cultural heritages. Extant anthropological studies point to the cultural unity of Biafrans and Ambazonian peoples because we are one people. Anybody who is doubting us should please consult their genetic studies and DNA mapping, which point to a singular origin of both Biafrans and Ambazonians. It is therefore only logical that this day would come. We are grateful to Almighty God in heaven, for determining that this alliance must be formed so that God's own people will be set free, as only Him has decreed. We are indeed on the brink of history. So far, even though our struggles for freedom have had different trajectories, Biafrans and Ambazonians have a shared destiny. Our collective destiny is to once again lead the continent of Black Africa to achieve the type of civilization that humanity will marvel at, just like our Bantu ancestors did when they civilized the whole of the known world around them. In the coming days, we Biafrans and Ambazonians will be communicating to the world in sequence, and as the need arises, our blueprint for cooperation preparatory to the re-emergence of our nations, just like the Almighty God in heaven, Chukwukika has decreed. In this vein, I hereby welcome every Biafran, every Ambazonian to a new dawn of our shared destiny and collective leadership of our peoples to lasting freedom. Long live the Republic of Biafra. Long live the nation of Ambazonia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thanks to my brother Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra. We have assembled here today in front of our two peoples to declare our intentions to work together to ensure our collective survival from the brutal annexation that have occurred in our both nations. We understand the difficulties that both peoples, the people of Biafra and Ambazonia, have faced in the last 60 years. But we have been discussing in the past few months to ensure that our collective strength be brought together to be more impactful to ensuring that we do not bequeath to the next generation a more oppressed homeland than we inherited. The Ambazonia and Biafra alliance is critical in an area where Nigeria and Cameroon have established two autocracies that have used violence as a political tool to suppress our both peoples. Within Nigeria itself, you have in the north the Hausas and Fulanis who have cross-border relationships in Niger. In the west, you have the Yorubas with cross-border relationship into Benin. The people of Biafra have been denied access to Ambazonia. And we must recall that during the Biafran War of Independence, while countries like France, that is the highest investor today in Nigeria, provided support, countries like Ivory Coast, Norway, and others, the one country being ruled by a Fulani man that refused Biafra the opportunity to receive support to prevent genocide was Cameroon, because Ayijo, a Fulani man, preferred the domination that was exercised by the Fulanis from within Nigeria and Cameroon over the Biafran people. Ambazonia is the only access you have. And within Cameroon itself, while the people have relationship with Central African Republic and other countries, Biafra is our only closest neighbor with massive investment within Ambazonia. Biafra is also the place where thousands of our people have sought refuge and have been treated with great hospitality. And for this, I want to thank the people of Biafra who have taken care of our refugees, and I ask you to continuously support them. Going forward, we are going to work together in different areas to ensure that our both nations emerge from these exclusive servitude imposed by both Cameroon and Nigeria. In coming to this joint press conference, I understand the worries of Ambazonians, and I have taken time to brief other leaders to make sure that I can allay the worries and fears of our people. These worries and fears is rooted in history. We were part of the Eastern House of Assembly in Enugu. But one great difference is when our leaders walk out of that house, there were no helicopter gunships that mauled our people. Our people were not massacred because we chose to establish a capital in Boya. But in the last 4 years, we have observed with great dismay the rapacious policy of Cameroon, the tyranny of a system that is intended on governing Ambazonia without consent. And if I will be given a choice to make Biafra my friend or Nigeria my friend, I will understand that the state that kidnapped and renditioned hundreds of our people, who were then locked incommunicado, subjected to torture, brutality, and sentenced to life in jail, was not the people providing sanctuary to our people. If I will be given a choice between Nigeria and Biafra, I will recall the thousands and thousands of Biafrans who are part of our economy. I will recall history, that when we had a wonderful trade with Biafra, the port of Tico was vibrant. The port of Victoria was vibrant. So too was the port of Port Harcourt and Calabar. But the Fulanese that have been governing Cameroon at that time dismantled our economic infrastructure and made it impossible for bilateral trade between our country and Biafra to take place, subjecting our population to impunity, making it impossible for any cross-border relationship. As you have said, we are one people, interculturally linked. But I also want to remind Ambazonians that I take your concerns seriously. That is why this alliance is split into 3 phases. First, to ensure that both peoples are liberated from the tyranny imposed on them, and to establish within a transitional period methods of collaboration and cooperation to dismantling the economic blockade that have impoverished our 2 nations. And within this period, there will be massive consultations within Ambazonia to ensure that any treaty that will be binding between the 2 nations is approved by the Ambazonian people. This relationship and alliance is critical. Across the globe, nations and peoples and countries are coming together to ensure the prosperity of their people, to ensure the liberation of their people. The Biafrans have been subjected to genocide, ecological hazard, by a few greedy people who have hijacked an entire nation and make sure that they treated the Biafran people with impunity. For the past 60 years, Cameroon rolled its tongues into Ambazonia, subjected our people to economic deprivation, political asphyxiation, cultural intoxication. Those who spoke were murdered. Those who escaped were hunted like games, rendition, and incarcerated incommunicado in the jails of the occupier. For us, the Ambazonian people, we have resolved in the past 4 years to match Cameroon method for method and ideal for ideal, to make sure we arm ourselves to the teeth, to ensure that the brutality that our people have been subjected to in the past 60 years comes to an end, so that we can establish within our own borders economic and political systems that are indigenous to our own cultural and political realities, that our leaders are accountable to our people, that our bounties will be exploited for the development of our people and those who believe in our own values, that our nations will never again, the nation of Biafra and Ambazonia, taken hostage by a few greedy men, women raped, children subjected to misery, and our men turned into boys. The era of domination that benefited a few within our continent and beyond its shores, leaving millions destitute, leaving millions moving across the Atlantic, dying in the ocean, must come to an end. We must redefine the contours of the continent. For the notion of Pan-Africanism must be redefined to ensure that self-determination of nations that have been caught under political systems that do not represent their interests becomes the norm. Before there was Nigeria, there was Biafra. You cannot allow yourselves to be taken hostage by a few men who've decided to rape your soils for their own interests. So too are Ambazonians. We don't seek this alliance as an aggression against others. We seek this alliance as a means of self-preservation against tyrannies that have curtailed for both peoples our right to survive within our own shores. We mean no evil to others, for everyone has a right to self-determination, and we are determined to exercise this for ourselves and for our people to ensure we bequeath to the next generation a better country than we inherited. God bless Biafra. God bless Ambazonia.
That was displayed when Dr. Ayaba was speaking. Look at it very carefully. You will see that when it came to us, it used to be called the NCNC, National Council of Nigeria and the Cameroons. When they say National Council of Nigeria, they were referring to Ambazonia. Ambazonians were part of us in Enugu before. Somehow, the powers that be determined that they should be cut away from us, that we are no longer one people. What gives you recognition is truthfulness. What gives you recognition is consistency. What gives you recognition ultimately is the ability to let your enemies understand that you will sacrifice anything sacrificable to get that which is right for your people. And that is why we are getting a mention in New York Times. As you would say, you did not mention CNN, because the same thing happened to CNN, even quoted me for the very first time. I'm not sure they've done that before. CNN quoted what I said regarding the attack of a non-gun, I wouldn't call it an attack, the granting of grace and freedom to people who are illegally incarcerated in Nigeria. And I do hope as time goes on that the same level of consistency and spirit of never say die will go into all ethnic nationalities within Nigeria and beyond that are yearning for freedom. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for that question. If you look at the map across the globe, whether within the European context, if you look at why there was a Second World War or First World War, you will discover that there are Germans within Switzerland. There are Germans, the Germanic race in Austria. You have the French across in Quebec and in Belgium and different places. And although this is what I call a linguistic kind of unism, these countries have always sought alliances with people with whom they have some cultural attachment for both cultural expansion, economic development, and purposes of self-preservation. And as I stated, the Biafrans are isolated. Ambazonians are isolated. These two nations form an economy of close to 72 million people, put together bigger than the economies of more than 100 United Nations countries. The Ambazonian economy has been sustained from Biafra, where people have had access to cheap goods. We are also aware that more than 20 years ago, Cameroon helicopter gunships bombed boats that were coming in from Biafra, bringing in goods into Ambazonia. We also know that while the Hausas and Fulanis are highly attached in the north to the countries beyond the border of Nigeria like Niger, and strengthening that alliance for both economic and political power, and the Yorubas are attached on the other side with Benin, ensuring their survival and self-preservation. What choice do the people of Biafra have? It's Ambazonia. And so this political alliance is crucial for the purposes of self-preservation of the two nations, and also to let the others who have occupied our both countries know that we will not choose our friends based on the definitions and interests of those who've subjected us to impunity. As you've rightly said, a few years back, hundreds of Ambazonians were illegally kidnapped. Those who were even sought asylum within Nigeria, they were subjected to psychological torture in prisons across Abuja, chained like sheep to the slaughter. In addition to Cameroon, where they were incarcerated, detaining communicado, sentenced to life in jail. This is the collaboration between Yaoundé and Aso Rock. It serves the interests of Yaoundé and Aso Rock. It doesn't serve the interests of Ambazonia. And it has put to shame, it has brought shame to the Biafran people who have shown great hospitality to our people, including ensuring that there is protection for our refugees. Even though the refugees are within the Biafra land, we have observed with great shock attempts by Yaoundé to work with certain political individuals within Nigeria to repatriate our refugees despite the raging war. This collaboration, as I have said, is defined in three phases. I will be leading on behalf of the Ambazonian people, working with the people of Biafra and the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra to ensure that in phase one of this collaboration, we are able to work together to ensure the self-preservation of both peoples. However, the Biafrans choose to do it with their choice. For us, Ambazonia, the right to self-defense is a right that we have invoked, because the only weapon of choice that Yaoundé and Cameroon has used in 60 years is that of rifles, machine gun. We have risen up, arm ourselves, and we will continue to arm every Ambazonian to make sure that even after independence, there will be no threat to our independence as we saw 60 years ago. And I think it is important that when we establish a free and independent nation beyond our borders, there should be another nation that is free to engage in trade, commerce, dismantling the economic blockade that both countries of Nigeria and Cameroon have imposed. As we move forward, we will be looking at the details to expand the details of our collaboration. And as I know, and as I said in my opening statement, to assure the Ambazonian people, in times of peril, leadership must make decisions that safeguard the interests of the people. There will come a time when the Ambazonian people will be able to certify the instruments of collaboration to be binding to both Ambazonia and Biafra. And that can be invoked under international law as binding to both peoples. I trust my brother Mazi Nnamdi Kanu for his steadfastness, for his ability to galvanize and mobilize the Biafran people. To you, the Biafran people, this is what I'd like you to know. You cannot allow people to invade your land, use your resources to arm themselves and subject you to torture while you escape across borders to establish little niches in different countries. You must rise up in whatever way, form, or shape to defend your right to exist, defend your right in the land of your birth, to exploit your resources for the benefit of your own people, and to make sure you can bequeath to the next generation a better place than you have inherited. A genocide took place in your land. Those people didn't die in vain. In the past few weeks, we have observed with shock and awe helicopter gunships throwing bombs in your suburbs. Those people who have died have not died in vain. And I can assure you, we will establish within the Gulf of Guinea stable political systems that would ensure that our partners beyond our region can trade with us with respect for our independence and to make sure that we can reap the benefit of international trade. What we should never allow again, and I say we, Biafrans, Ambazonians, and all peoples within the continent who are blessed with the bounties that God has given us, is to allow tyrants and murderers to hijack our states and use it as experiments for murder and genocide. That era has come to an end.
Sure, Eba. What I have to say is very simple, is that we have embarked upon a mission and a journey from which there is no turning back until victory is assured. What we can also tell our people today is one thing, that we are not going to stop what we are doing until freedom is secured for all our peoples. It doesn't matter what the enemies do. It doesn't matter what they intend to do. It doesn't matter the sort of collaborations they may enter into. It doesn't matter what form of brutality or any form of brutality they may wish to visit upon us. We are resolved and determined to make sure that we prosecute this very campaign to its glorious end, because in the end we're going to emerge victorious. There are men who are fighting, people who are defending our land against the excesses of Fulani Janjaweedism, those who have come from the Sahel to take over our land. We're not going to allow them to do that. I must encourage them, and also encourage Ambazonian fighters as well in all that they are doing to ensure that the land of Ambazonia is safe. We must not make this very mistake that most people do all the time, to think that help is going to come from somebody else. Nobody's going to help us. We are here to help ourselves, and God willing, we are going to emerge victorious. So I thank all people watching right across the face of this planet Earth today, and especially to this very union of Biafra and Ambazonia, because I do know that in time will help propel both nations towards freedom, and that's why we are here. That is what we are dedicated to doing, and that is what we are going to do every blessed day of our lives until both peoples are free. Thank you very much.
For the courage, both of us standing here today is out of courage, and I want to thank you very much for having that courage to make sure that we can step out of the cocoon and speak together. To our both peoples, the people of Biafra and Amazonia, I would like you to be assured that in our greatest moments of need, like those of others before us, they've established alliances to ensure their survival. Look back and you find roads and our villages littered with the charred bodies of brave men and women who rose before us to attempt to defend our lands. You look back and it's horror and pain faced by millions of people who have never known happiness, who've never known peace, facing ecological and economic disaster of untold proportions, imposed by others who have sought to occupy our both countries without our consent. Look back and there is genocide and hopelessness. You look forward, there is hope, but you require determination and courage to marshal on and to make sure that we can both be free. Ambazonians must know the tenure of Cameroon in Ambazonia has come to an end. The last chapter of its presence has been written by the blood of our people, and its tyranny and subjugation and impunity and abuse shall never again be tolerated. We will establish going forward friendship with people who have similar experiences and who mean good for us. But we will also ensure we proudly safeguard and preserve our independence. To you, the people of Biafra, you have to stand firm. The past has been difficult. The present is hopeless. But the future under your present leadership and construct
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Biafra and Ambazonia, the national anthem of the indigenous people of Biafra.
Land of the rising. Ambazonia, land of freedom, usually repentance in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation. Ambazonia, land of freedom, usually repentance in our need, and your children shall be like the stars above. The Most High God be the watchman of this nation.
Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of Biafra and Ambazonia, the national anthem of the indigenous people of Biafra.
Great Ambazonians, great people of Biafra, my great people, welcome again today to this exclusive interview today. Of course, I'm not going to introduce himself. He's going to introduce himself to you. But I want you people to understand that what we're doing today is part of the history. Of course, we are here to restore our goals, both the Ambazonians and Biafran people. And we know that we and Ambazonians, we are brothers. And we are working hands to hand to make sure that we restore our dignity, the land of Ambazonia and Biafra. And I always want our people to understand that we are the same people. We are still having a problem with our guest. As soon as he come up, of course, I will bring him back to the interview. I think he's having some problem with his network. But we are here to do the needful. We know the work of Facebooks, the social media, they will keep on kicking people out because they don't want us to do this today. But believe it, we must. We must. Because history is about to take place today. Of course, we will keep on working together hand to hand with the Ambazonians. We have a lot of questions today to ask our guest today. I don't want to introduce himself to you all. I want him by himself to introduce himself, so every one of you will know his position. And I hope you people are doing the needful to this broadcast of today. It's going to be wonderful. It's going to be very, very wonderful because we have see each other again today. Try to talk about things that matters to this our struggle. We are still waiting for our guest. He's already here, and the internet or the media or I don't know, maybe he have a problem with his network. But as soon as he come up, as soon as I see his red button, of course, I will bring him up again. But I want you people to know that what we are about to discuss today is very, very important. That we keep on creating awareness. We keep on telling our people the situation that we are today. We will keep on telling our people that on this quest of self-determination, we must restore the land of Biafra and Ambazonia. We all know that we are one people. And I'm still waiting for our guest. I'm still waiting for our guest to join us so that we will start the business of the day. Of course, he's back again. He is back again, and definitely I will bring him in. Of course, I know they will keep on kicking you out because what we are about to do today is something special, and the media, they won't allow us. But I'm promising you, Mazi, I will use that word Mazi. Mazi means like a saw in English, but that is how we use it in our dialect. So I will make sure that I keep on using Mazi to you. Whenever I use Mazi, I want you to understand that that is a respect in our place. And what we are about to do today is something special and is something that the world will talk about in time to come. Because I know that we Ambazonians and Biafran people, we are good to go. We are brothers. We are in the same lane. We are still looking for our freedom. So we are searching for the same goal. And we know that we are one people. And we are going to restore our dignity. We are going to restore the motherland. We are going to restore who we are, because we want to take our people back to the roots of who we are. And I would like to introduce myself to our audience. And then the man that you are seeing right now on your screen, or direct right now, he will introduce himself. Also let our audience to know his position on the Ambazonian freedom. But let me introduce myself first. My name's the Biafran child in Wachineke Mazo Kechuku. I am from Ihala in Anambra in Biafra land. I am IPOB under chain of command. At the same time, I am IPOB under oath. Thank you, my brother. The floor is yours. I want you to introduce yourself and tell us your position and tell us everything about you, because I want our audience to understand your position, particularly your position, because today is going to be a very wonderful, interactive, and I know that we are going to do well today. The floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you, my brother, the general himself, Uchechukwu, and Mazi Uchechukwu. I'm very happy and honored to be on this program to talk to our people, the great people of Biafra and the great people of Ambazonia. As you rightly said, this is a very historic movement in our march together. Both of our people were part of the state, the eastern state of the British protectorate that we now have been. It has been transformed to the zoo of Nigeria, and we share a common history. And both the leader of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and the leader of Ambazonian Liberation War, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba, had seen this vision on how we can work together to achieve our common goal. And my name is CAPO Daniel. I am the Deputy Defense Chief of the Ambazonian Governing Council, the third in command of our defense military, of our defense department, the Ambazonian Defense Forces. So it's my honor to be with you. I'm also an attaché to the cabinet of the Governing Council as an intelligence officer. So you have the right person today to talk about a lot of things that is going on. And I also have a lot in my heart that I want to talk to our Biafran counterpart, especially about the March for Freedom that will be taking place in June in Brussels, Belgium. Everybody has to be there. Please, if you are in the European continent, please, if you can travel, make sure you are there to participate in that 1 million man march. It's going to be historic. It's going to be something that will factor greatly in the diplomacy of the Biafran movement, the IPOB, and the Ambazonian leadership as they engage our European partners to make this public statement to be able to fine-tune our diplomatic effort to establish what is long due for our people, which is their rights to access self-determination and decide for themselves the type of political system they want to live in. I'm sorry I went out of the way of introducing myself, but that was just so fresh in my mind, I had to leave it there. So this is me. I am a Capo Daniel. For those, I'm also an activist. I'm also a communicator. So I act in multiple fronts, but officially I am the first deputy defense chief of the Ambazonian Defense Forces.
Thank you, Capo Daniel. Thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. Of course, what you just said now about coming 1 million march is something that I wanted to ask you at the middle of the questions that we have here. But of course, you have already answered it. And at the same time, I will still at the same time repeat the question again, because it's something that I have already written down to ask you, but you use it as a preamble. And that is very, very wonderful, because we couldn't expect that you are going to use such a thing as a preamble. But it's okay. good that we heard it from you. Is very, very important because it's one of those things, one of the reasons why we bring you today to ask you a lot of questions. But now, Mazi CAPO Daniel, I thank you all. I thank you today for joining us. You are looking good and you are so young. You know, when I was hearing your name, I say that I was thinking that you are such a very old person. And when I saw you, I said, wow, very young person indeed.
Yes, I went to, I've been in many diplomatic missions in the Basque country in Spain to represent my country, Ambazonia, and people find that I was very young, especially when I went to their parliament, and I went to Biafra as well to have diplomatic engagement in our discussion. The only person who did not find me young is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who is a man of action. In our meetings, he didn't find me young, and the people of the security department, the Eastern Security Network, our guys on the ground. And by the way, these are the fundamental things that our people must get it right. When you want to have freedom, there are a lot of things you have to let go. The elitism that is in Biafra that was instituted by the British and the Biafra and the Nigerian government, where you have certain type of projection of poor people with beard and big stomach carrying themselves like people who cannot go to toilet, being your leader. And that image is in the mindset of our people, where if somebody speaks to you because that person is old, whatever he says is right. You don't question people because of their age, because of their social status, because of who they represent in the government. That colonial mindset was not meant for us to progress. It was meant to us to follow certain rules that will keep us where we are. For we to progress as a people, we have to start judging people from their character, what they have to offer for our people practically, for them to be able to improve their life and gain their freedom. So when you see young people, the people who are going to free Biafra are not going to be the PhD holders. They are not going to be people who speak fluently in the British accent. I don't speak English, by the way. I speak Pidgin English. I insist, Pidgin English. So for those who are taking their grammar effects, they are going to find a lot wrong with my language, but it is just going to be fine for me. Because when we speak to the boys in the ground who hold the future of Biafra, who hold the future of Ambazonia, this is the language they speak. And when you go to the hospitals in Biafra land today, the language they speak is not the Queen's language. They speak their Pidgin language, they speak Igbo language, because that is who we are. You have to express yourself and be comfortable for who we are. We are restoring our dignity as a people in Biafra and in Ambazonia. That means we have to start looking at ourselves the way we are, not the way we were taught to look at ourselves. So thank you very much for being for recognizing that I am a young man and with a big heart for our people. And our people have to get used to men like us. They have to be able to follow leaders, not based on the image they had in Buhari and the vampires that are sucking up their blood back home. People who dress like that, people who look like that, people who speak like those people, they will never take you where you need to be. And we will still have 95% of our population living below $1 a day. We will still be saving the hegemony that has been put in place by the British, both in Biafra and also those that have been put in our land by the French. So we have to think out of the box.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Our audience, who you are seeing direct on your screen right now, is CAPO Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief of Amazonia. The Deputy Defense Chief of Amazonia. And I hope you people are going to listen a lot of things. I agree with him because when you come today in the people of Biafra, we always give respect to those that we call elders. But believe it, those people that we are seeing today that they have red caps or with the great hair, because of the respect we have for them, most of the time people will tell us, go and meet them. That without them, we can never restore our motherland. But we are keep on telling them that things never work that way. When you come to Europe today, those people that they have in authority, they are not so old like the people we have today in Africa. And when you come in African system, they try to believe that, I don't know how they want to put it, they want to stay there till the end of their life. That is why you see today, those of them that are coming to become a president, you will see also, their age. Their age will still, because all of them, they are waiting on the line. By the time you will get there, your age is also above 90. And that is the problem. But let us use this as a preamble before we begin to ask you a question. I want you to tell us what freedom is all about. We want to know what is freedom, because some of our people don't know what is freedom. They think that freedom is something that you have to wait. They have to come to you and give you the freedom. But we have understood, according to the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, our leader, that we have to grab the freedom. We have to take it by force. But I want you to tell us more about freedom. Thank you.
Freedom is not free. I think that's the first thing you have to know with freedom. A lot of Biafrans have been driven out of their home because of deprivation of their economic freedom, and they find themselves in the diaspora, and they can test of freedom. They can walk freely. They can ascend from somebody who was watching plates in McDonald's to become a manager. They can have scholarship to go to school irrespective of their political affiliation or their family members to become doctors, and they are succeeding. They are thriving all over the world because they live in places where freedom do exist. Freedom is not just a concept, but it is a practicality to have an egalitarian society where people can have equal opportunity, people can have equal access, not just the opportunity, believe me, because opportunities in life are not just created by a political system. The most important thing in the concept of being free is that every people on the planet of Earth have been naturally endowed by their resources, by their environment, by the things that they are born into. So when they take away your freedom, it means that a system in place have taken away that natural endowment that comes from your soil, your land. The fact that you are a Biafran, you are supposed to have access to the economic advantage that God has given you in the petroleum resources, the bauxite, and all the natural resources that Biafran have. It is for you. And when all that you are stripped of all those empowerment, you become like an early man that lives in the farm. You have to work so hard, suffer, and work under the sun. Why those resources have guaranteed freedom for some Fulani people and some hegemony chiefs in the UK army, and because the way this thing is done for the Europeans, it's not really officially a government business to maintain what they have set up in Africa. They have some sort of an undercover foreign policy that is being put in place by the military industrial network, their MI6 system that trains the Nigerian military, their political leadership that advises them and run private bank accounts in the Solomon Islands and many places. So there is a whole system set up by the West out of their governing structure that manages African affairs, and they are not submitting themselves to the laws in their own country, and that one is very visible in French-speaking country. So for us to see our people to be free is for the people to have empowerment with the resources that God has given them, so that their dreams, their potentials can be realized in their own homeland, free from foreign influence, free from foreign extortion, which is what they have. So you find people who have been born in Biafra, they don't have any way to succeed. They don't have any ways to get loans in banks. No matter whether you are intelligent, you are just as useless as somebody on the street. So that system is in place. Biafran have to free themselves, not just to have independence as a concept, but for them to be empowered as human beings to live their God-given life and to impact the rest of Africa, because Biafra is the biggest, I think one of the biggest tribes in Africa resides in the Biafran state, and they have a crucial part in playing in the liberation of black people. So we pray and we hope to see a day where the people of Biafra and the people of Ambazonia are free. You have many countries in Africa that have independence, but they are not free. They are not free to manage their resources. They are not free to manage their wealth. They have very little say in their diplomatic engagement, so much that when their president speaks in the United Nations, countries that are free, they walk out because they have nothing to say. They are puppets. So we want a country where our people have a say. We want to develop our own Dubai. We want to develop our own political system as well. Because what has happened in Africa, you find in places like Burkina Faso, where they had a revolt. In Tunisia, they had a revolt. In Egypt, they had a revolt. They kick out Hosni Mubarak. And then you have somebody who is worse coming in place. So it is not just fighting against a system that you don't like, that does not work for the interests of your people, but a leadership like that of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu that has developed a blueprint for their own people, a political system that can guarantee those opportunities that their people want, democracy, the access to wealth, access to finance and opportunities for all without discrimination. So we know that we are the future of Africa. We know that we are the generation that are going to usher the real freedom to the people of Africa, not to rely on an abstract concept or inherited colonial system, but to build one of our own by the indigenous people of their land.
Thank you very much. And there's something that you said when you're just trying to introduce yourself. Do you have idea why the Biafran people and Ambazonia? Do you want to tell us the connection that we have together? Because there's something that you said about the connection we have. I mean, from the root, from the taproot, because there's something, there's energy there. Do you want to tell us about the energy? I mean, the connection between the Ambazonians and Biafran people. Because our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu always tell us that the Ambazonians, they are our brother. And we have to take them as our brother. This is not a brother because of the freedom fighting, that we are really brothers. Do you want to tell us the connection?
Yes, it goes further than it has been taught to our people, or that our people have learned in school. As a matter of fact, before the coming of white man to the coast of West Africa, where reside Biafra and the Ambas Bay, we have many places that were not developed into states. Or nation. A nation and a state, as defined by international law, is a people that have a common language, a common method of record keeping, a common legislature, a flag, and a leader with a well-defined border. That would be what you call a country today. So before the coming of the white people, there were countries in Africa, and there were still villages that were developing into kingdoms and chiefdoms across Africa. One of those places that brought Ambazonians and Biafra was the Oro Ochok Confederation. It included part of the extended Biafra, because Biafra grew and extended her borders and had more other tribes that came under Biafra. And the part of Ambazonia, there was part of Ambazonia which was part of that kingdom. They stopped the invading, colonizing British people. They stopped the Portuguese, and they fought a lot of wars that are not recorded in modern history to maintain that our freedom. At that time, the white people, in their history that they passed on to our children, our fathers, they told them that the white people could not penetrate the interior because of mosquitoes. But it was not because of mosquitoes. It was because there were people at that area who fought so hard. It was not the entire Ambazonia that was in that confederacy, but there was a huge part of Ambazonia that was part of that confederacy. Eventually, they were defeated in a war, and the British get into our territory. They destroyed everything. You have the Ebini Shrine, which is still in Ambazonia, and in Biafra land, you have our common traditional wear. Our cultures are almost the same. And the British established the Eastern State in Nigeria, in what they call Nigeria now, that protectorate. And when they fought against the Germans, and the Germans lost the war, the part of the German Cameroon that fell under the British Army, the British people conquered them using Nigerians, fighters, using fighters coming from Ghana and many other places in Africa. They defeated the Germans in the part of Ambazonia, and that part became free. We were now attached, and we grew up together for 41 years as part of the Eastern State. That Biafran today is Biafran land. So we were all developed as a state. We participated. We had parliamentarians in the senators and parliamentarians in the legislature, in the Inugu House, Eastern House of Nigeria, and we grew up together. So we had a common umbilical cord. But for purposes to keep us separated, we have been told repeatedly that if the Ambazonian people have alliance with the Biafran people, is going to annoy the Nigerians, and they are going to fight against us even more. It's going to annoy the Cameroonians, and they are going to fight against more. So they have kept us apart with fear, the fear of our enemy. But little do we know that that fear is their greatest fear. It's not our fear, because we are one people, we are honest people. Our history is true. Our agenda is not a hidden agenda. It's for freedom. So we, everywhere we go, they advise. It was nice meeting the first time we met with the team of the IPOB, and our leaders will talk about every time they go, they'll advise you, don't associate with Ambazonians. And the same people will come and tell us, don't associate with Biafra. I mean, the same people. So these people have been playing over our brain for a long time.
And so you think that they are using what they call divide and rule? I mean, to divide us at the same time be ruling us, you know?
Yes, they are using divide and rule, exactly, in a very smart way. But the enemy of your enemy is my friend. We have a common enemy, the state of Nigeria and the state of Cameroon. It will be foolish for us not to realize that if we come together, we will fight them better. It is not by afraid of your enemy that you make him weak. When you are afraid of your enemy, he becomes strong. So we have break the odds, and we are having a lot of progress in the defense sector in terms of our communication in helping the Biafran people with the emancipation, and also in terms of strategy that work with us. The exchanges are good. The defense part is where you have the best part that is going on, that I'm very excited about, and in diplomacy as well. And we have come to a conclusion that this is for self-preservation. We need each other to survive a possibility of genocide that can be perpetrated by Cameroon and by Nigeria. These are people that respect no international norms or international rules, and they have been so spoiled by sucking up our resources that they will do everything, including the possibility of genocide, to keep us as subjugated people.
Thank you for this wonderful explanation. For some of you that are just joining us right now, who you are seeing direct on your screen right now is CAPO Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief of Ambazonia. The Deputy Defense Chief of Ambazonia is one of the highest ranker of Ambazonia. I mean, it's a very wonderful that we have you today, believe me, and we will keep on bringing the people of Ambazonia so that we will keep on discussing as a brother. And let us take this as a first question to you, but we have a lot of them also here, and we are also going to look at the comment section, some important messages, the questions that people will ask. I mean, our audience, we're also going to bring it up if the questions has meaning. I mean, if it's a meaningful one, we are going to ask it to you, but if it's something that we are not going to ask, then we'll forget about it. Now I want to take the first question, like, what is, the first, let's talk about the Ambazonians and the activities of the men on the ground in Ambazonia. I mean, what is the achievement and the challenges they are having today in Ambazonia?
In terms of achievement, we have liberated over, I think, 60 to 70%, because sometimes it sways, on the battlefield, things do change. We have achieved over 60% of liberation of our country. They are under our control in a dynamic manner. In terms of physical control, we have over 30% of our territory under our physical control, where we have set up a transitional authority to govern our territory and carry out government business for Ambazonia. In the area where we control dynamically, those are areas where we have kicked out Cameroon administrators, and the only Cameroonian representatives there are their military men that are bunkered in their camps. They are unable to have patrol, go out to patrol, but sometimes they are capable of having reinforcement and go out for missions, but they can't carry out patrol. We deny them the possibility of setting up roadblocks. In about 40% of our territory where you have Cameroon control, Those are mainly in urban areas and in the largest city in Ambazonia, which is called Bamenda. That is it's an area that is highly contested. There are areas within that city where the Cameroon administrator cannot venture in those areas. So even in those city set areas, we have areas that are completely under our control. And the Cameroon military, they still have the capability to come into our territories using armored cars. Sometimes they bring in people using helicopters to penetrate our defenses, but they are unable to stay in those places to conduct business, because the whole idea of control, government control, is predicated on the administration of that territory. So we have made our territory ungovernable for the Cameroon government. We have denied them any legitimacy. For the past 5 years, the Cameroon government have failed to be able to conduct any legitimate election with up to 1% of participation of our public. So Cameroon, our resistance is strong. We are now fighting for recognition and for adjudication, in terms of mediation, for Cameroon to negotiate its way out of our territory. So that is how we have made. In terms of diplomacy, we have had the Basque country, which is an autonomous region of Spain. Their parliament have passed resolution to recognize our right of self-determination and recognize us as a people. And they have 3 parliamentarians within the European Union Parliament. We are engaged with our international partners, but we haven't had them officially recognize us. We are in the corridors of many democracy. We may not have recognition before we have independence, because the state of Cameroon is well connected with the French state, and they enjoy camaraderie amongst African states. But behind closed doors, I can assure you, the ECOWAS and most African states sympathizes with us. They know our history. They voted for Ambazonians' independence in 1960 in the General Assembly of the United Nations. We have a just cause, and we will prevail. It's just a matter of time. Ambazonia will have her independence.
Thank you very much. And another question that I want to ask you, of course, we have to understand the stage that the Amazonians are today. If I may ask you this question, those Amazonian people are still creating awareness, or are they now full-blown battle? Are they into full-blown battle, or are they still creating awareness for people to listen to them, or they are coming full-time to attack anything that are coming to their land to disrupt them, or to those enemies that are coming to their land to take over their land? Are they in full-blown battle, or are they still creating awareness?
Oh, we have passed the stage of awareness. We had passed the stage of where we go out and protest and create awareness internationally. We have internationalized our struggle. We have had hearings of our contestation of Cameroon's sovereignty over our territory in the Security Council. It's still going on in the Security Council, in the European Parliament, in the UK Parliament. Debates have been made. In the United States Parliament, they have passed resolutions. Cameroon have been sanctioned by the American government. In the Donald Trump's administration, they have been removed from a prestigious AGAWA treaty. And in Joe Biden's administration have sanctioned some of them, giving them flight ban to travel out of Cameroon. The European Union have called for the Cameroons to stop the use of war as a means to resolve this crisis. So we are no longer in international. Our battle with Cameroon have been internationalized. It is in the mediation stage where the countries are calling on Cameroon to sit on the negotiation table, because it will end in negotiation. So, but we still have a lot of challenges in terms of media. The multinational medias are very prone to multinational corporations, and those are the people who benefit from colonization of Africa. So we have a tough time to control the narrative. We have to be very aggressive with media outlets across the world, BBC, Voice of America. Our crisis is highly neglected, given that close to 30,000 people have been killed, over 2 million have been displaced, over 5 million are directly affected. It is a humanitarian crisis. It is largely not being reported, and it is for obvious reason. Our case is so clear because Southern Cameroon was a separate country from Cameroon. Cameroon have her independence without us. and they forcefully re-annex us and recolonize us. So it's so obvious. If you talk about our crisis, everybody will be asking, but what is Cameroon doing to these people? And nobody wants that in the international community. But we are getting there. We are having more and more coverage. Our issues, you need coverage. You need international media to pay attention, because that is how their population gets aware. And when their population get aware, it transforms into political capital for their leaders to take action and make sure that this nonsense of Cameroon occupation comes to an end. So we need the publicity as well.
And when you are talking about publicity, or I mean the biggest media rooms, do you think that it's very easy for us to penetrate them? Because as we can see today in the world, none of them want Ambazonia or Biafra to come. So how do you think we will get to that level? Because you know that a lot of them, they have investment in that our land, and they always think about their investment. They don't care about we dying or the enemies killing us. They only think about their wealth. So how do you think that we can be able to get into that big media room to propagate about the restoration of Ambazonia and Biafran people? Thank you.
The whole thing boils down to the whole reason why Nigeria is in Biafra, or why Cameroon is in Ambazonia. They are in for political, for economic reasons. They are there to exploit our people. They are also there for prestige. So for you to be able to reach the international audience, who do not really care about black people in the first place, let alone about our freedom or us having some level of dignity, they don't care. But what they care is about trade. They have cash crops, they have mineral resources, they have oil and gas in our territory, that the whole system is predicated on keeping this Cameroon and Nigeria to be able to benefit from those trade. So when you go after those benefits, then you touch the heart of why they are there in the first place, and then they listen to you, they pay attention. It's what we call the Haiti solution. You remember Haiti was the first African country to have her independence, and the way they had their independence is they realized they had many agitation, they had many revolt, and no matter how many French military people they killed, the French would just keep on bringing more. They will go and hire more. If they don't want to bring French people to die, they will go and bring more from Vietnam, they will bring more from Syria, from Pakistan, and they'll come and fight them. So they realized that the whole issue that keeps the French to keep on coming was the plantation. And one day they wake up and say, okay, this plantation does not save us anywhere. Let's bring the whole thing down. And out of a sudden, the French did not have any reasons to come there because it was bad investment. So with us in Ambazonia, we have also identified those economic interests of the West that they benefit with in having Cameroon to secure those economic interests. So we have decided to ban and stop every exportation of cash crop, oil, and gas from our territory. We started this war by taking out the Cameroon Sonera, is the gas company of oil in Cameroon. We brought it down. We have destroyed the capacity of about 60% of Cameroon export of cash crop from our territory. That caught the international community, and they started with the Swiss-led mediation process. Because now, out of a sudden, the Switzerland people, they don't have their plantains coming in from Ambazonia, and they want to find out what is going on. So for Biafran to be able to get the international community to be interested, let alone even having their media talk about Biafra, they have to stop. They will have to go through the pain of stopping exporting oil, because the exporting of, once that oil fields are going on, business is going on, the West, the white people are okay with whatever Buhari can do to keep you guys in check, so long as those oil keeps on flowing. That's why in our security meetings, we had decided that the Gulf of Guinea, the Nigerian state will not be able to guarantee trade with the international community from the Gulf of Guinea, neither with the Cameroonians. Because we, the Biafran people and the Ambazonian people, we are the indigenes of that area. That is our resources. Nobody will trade with that resources. Nobody will benefit from that resources unless they come through us. So you must touch the hands that feeds and sustain Nigeria for you to be able to do that. You have to do it. It will be painful to Biafrans as well. But like we say, freedom is not free. The Europeans today, they are, for the sake of democracy and international system that is based on the rule of law, they are willing to sacrifice trade with Russia. They are willing to sacrifice even banning Russian oil so that they can protect their own democracy that they feel is in threat. Even though the war is not in Europe, actually it's not in European country, European Union, but the Europeans are taking pains. They are stopping business that benefits them for freedom. So Biafran and Ambazonian people must be able to sacrifice economically, socially, in terms of blood and treasure for their freedom.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for this wonderful explanation. And again, we want to talk about the alliance. That was, I think, if I'm not mistaken, that was, I think, last year before the adoption of our leader. The Show Ayaba, I have forgotten his position because I don't want to make a mistake. When you will talk about it, then you give us his real position, because I don't want to put him in a place that he's not. So before last year, if I'm not mistaken, there is a day that our leader and Show Ayaba, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and Show Ayaba, they come together to work as a team. And now I want to ask you, after all those things happen, can you tell us the achievement that the Biafran people and Ambazonia have achieved since all those meetings happened? What are we going to take from you? I mean, tell us things that have already achieved on that alliance. Thank you. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I will start with my leader, Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba. He is the president of the Ambazonian Governing Council. It is the biggest movement in the Ambazonian Liberation War. It has missions across the globe, and we control the largest military on the ground. It is the most effective and most structured Ambazonian organization that represents the interests of our state. We do have other movements and organizations as well that represent the interests of our people. But in terms of the military confrontation and diplomatic confrontation with Cameroon, the Ambazonian Governing Council is the leading movement. So he is also being recognized by our people as the leader of our war of liberation. So he is both the leader, the president of the Governing Council, as well as the leader of Ambazonian war against Cameroon. And in terms of the alliance between Biafra and Ambazonia, the fact that we are talking today is fruit of those alliances. It has opened the way for the Biafran people to take a look into what the Ambazonian people are doing for their own freedom and be inspired. It has also taken the Ambazonian people to look across the border in Biafra, where we have been having enormous collaboration and help and hospitality over these years, and even seek to engage in more tangible ways that we can both fight for our freedom militarily and diplomatically. In terms of the achievement, most of them are still highly classified after the kidnapping of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who was really had his finger on it. He was really engaged. So since his adoption, it was a big blow for the alliance. We still have a lot of engagement in terms of defense. Everything is going on well, but in terms of diplomatic area, you have the Ipob bureaucracy, you have the Ambazonian bureaucracy, you guys are getting first-hand tests of infiltration, confusion, and we have to tie our belt. But we have gone through the same experience, so we know what you guys are going through. But we have achieved enormously. Last 2 weeks ago, I actually oversee a joint operation across in our side of the border and the Eastern Security Network. We temporarily took control of the custom post in Ipob and Ekok area in Ambazonia. We kicked out the Nigerians and the Cameroonian custom officers, and we temporarily control that stretch for some time. We have guaranteed an access way that are secured for across our border, so that we can have exchange in personnel in terms of training. We also benefit from access in black markets of where we get our weapons, where they get their weapons. We have most of the things are classified. I will not be able to say them on social media, but our alliance is producing a lot of fruits. that our people have to engage. And it's also what the leaders did was set the stage for us, the people, to come together. We are seeing Ambazonians being embraced by Biafrans and the other way around across the globe. When I go into Biafran meetings in Hong Kong, I do have a lot of respect, and they do listen to us, and we walk the streets together across the world like one. And coming June, we are going to be having a 1 million man march. It's going to be made up of Ambazonian and Biafran.
Excuse me, sir. This question, you keep on repeating it, and I know. You know, there's something that you just said. We have a lot of infiltrators today among us, even though some of them, they are not. But I will use this opportunity to ask you this question right now, so that you will explain to us. And because as you are speaking to the people of Biafra at the same time, you are speaking to the people of Ambazonia. Because we are one people, we are brothers. This is not because we are searching or looking for our nation. From the root, we are the same people, and nobody can ever separate us. That is why we are looking towards to restore it and come back together to make African great. Because I believe that we, the Ambazonians and Biafra, is those people that will make African great. Of course, some people always say that Africa was a great nation. I don't believe that Africa was a great nation before, because they keep on controlling us, ruling us, telling us what to do. So when was Africa was a great nation? But Mazi, like I said, Mazi is a respect. It also stands as a sir. You know, the reason why I want to ask you this question, I wanted to ask you this question at the end, but now you keep on bringing it up. That shows that there's something, there's energy there. And we are going to talk about that energy. That is why I'm coming now to ask you that energy. You see, there's some of our people, they were saying, they made a broadcast saying that the Ambazonians, they are not part of that 1 million march that's going to happen in June. Some people are propagating the issue, feeding people lies, fabricating stories. They are saying that Ambazonians are not part of us. And that is the reason why we try our best to search for you. And I think to Chukwu Kikabiama. Chukwu Kikabiama means the God created heaven on earth. You know, I think to Chukwu Kikabiama that we have you and you accepted our invitation. But now let me ask you something. Tell us more about this 1 million march. How, prepared the Ambazonian people are, and tell us, are they coming from every part of the world to come that European Parliament, which is in Belgium, in Brussels, to march, to tell the world that we need our freedom? So I want you to tell us more. Tell us a lot of things that we want to hear. Like I said, some people, they are out there telling some gullible people, telling them that the Ambazonia they know, the Ambazonians they are working with, are not part of those 1 million march. That whenever people see Ambazonia flag in Belgium, that is not Ambazonia. They are Biafran people trying to flash up the Ambazonian flag. There is no Ambazonian. I'm telling you, what I'm telling you is true. If you want me to bring out the video, I'll bring out the video, then you listen to the video, you know that I'm not lying. That is the most important thing. So I want you to explain to the great people of Biafra and great people of Ambazonia, because we are one people. Tell them how to come there. Tell them, I want you to ginger them, please. Thank you. The floor is yours.
If you are not being attacked, that means you are not in an area where you can score a goal. Every time you venture into the 18.
And excuse me, sir, please, I don't want to, please, I just want to put it. Are you working with Show Ayaba? Are you under Show Ayaba?
Yes, I'm a second deputy.
Now continue. It's okay, continue. That is what I want to know.
I'm the second deputy, the second in ranks in the ADF. So be sure of that. I'm the top attaché to the cabinet of the governing council. So I speak with authority. The program in Belgium is very important. It's not just a program that you have people protesting on the streets with flag, and after that they go home and they sit quiet. It is not all about that. There have been a lot of work done in the European Union in the corridor of diplomacy to make sure that this action will reinforce what our organization, IPOB, and the Ambazonian Governing Council have been doing with our partners within the European Union. We have been doing a lot of diplomacy there, and you have to have the backing of the people. You have to show a show of force for our effort. So that is why this is very, very important. You have both Cameroon intelligence services and Nigerian intelligence services that have infiltrated every forum that we discuss, every forums of Biafrans, be it WhatsApp, be it Facebook, and they are spoilers. They are there to inject venom, to sow confusion and suspicion, so that instead of us focusing on what we can do to mobilize people, people start to become concerned as who is there, who is not there, who was there, it was not me, it is that, it is that. That is just the work of the enemy. But the work of any true patriot is to realize that it does not matter who hold the flag. As a matter of fact, it does not matter who organize it. This is something good. Righteousness is good. When you see something good and you are a good person, you are a true patriot, you have to support it and ask questions later. But I'm here to assure you, because they have asked me the question, that this is not just a march. The 1 million march, it's right in June, 14 and 15 of June. So it's far. People have time to prepare themselves, because it is also to control the narrative diplomatically. It is also to reinforce the push that we have been pushing in a very critical time, when the world is talking about the right of sovereignty, the right of people, like they see in Ukraine. So this is very important. Our people should take it very importantly. And we should also be very mindful of people who come with unsubstantiated claims to frighten people, to scare people away from participating in things that are beneficial. If you are not involved with the IPOB, if you are not involved with this march, if you are truly for Biafra or for Ambazonia, there is no way you can be against it. There is absolutely no rationale. The idea that you can pretend that there are some fake Ambazonians or fake Biafrans people there, or I don't like this group, it is not organized by my group, it is organized by A, not B. All those things are signs of people who have been compromised. And trust me, we will be walking along with this journey with wolves in sheep clothing till we get to freedom of Biafra and Ambazonia. There will always be people like that. But the whole way that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have built his institution and Dr. Choyaba is for them to be able to push through with leadership without these spoilers and enablers, these double agents being able to affect or divert their course. So we hope that our people, they should always use their judgment every time initiative come. It does not necessarily mean it must be from one person or the other, but once it is something that is good, you should fall behind it and ask questions later.
Thank you. Let me bring back again your name and your position, because it's very, very important that great people of Biafra are listening, because I know that the Ambazonian people, they don't have this problem, because I know that the Ambazonian people, they have gotten to that stage that you can never condemn what they are doing. Of course, today we are still having some infiltrators, those moles, those charlatans and inconsequential around us, because we are still creating awareness. Because I know that someday we will get to that level that nobody born of a woman will come out and begin to condemn the leadership which our leader Mazi Nnamdi Kanu put in place. That is why we're seeing everything that is going on today. But I know that the great people of Biafra have heard it from CAPO Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief of Ambazonia. He is a deputy to Show Ayaba. You know why I asked him that name, if he is under Show Ayaba, that he should, explain himself more better so that people will understand. Because when some of our people, the gullible one, will go out there and begin to listen to some idiots out there, believing that they are telling them the truth. You know, we are having all these conflicts, about the Ambazonia people. They are not coming. They are not part of us. That they have already spoken to the leadership of Ambazonia, and they know that they are not going to work with Biafran people. They are not going to come there. That is why I'm asking you, are you real the deputy? And you said it. And I know the people, it's like you want to say something. Do you want to say something?
Yes, I want to tell you that we also have the same problem. You remember there was one guy who also called himself the president of Ambazonia. He sent well wishes to Buhari. Remember, who would do that? And so, if a Nigerian intelligence service wants to have voices from somebody claiming to be Ambazonian speaking for us to confuse your people, they will get somebody to do that. But like I say, our people, for you to be free, you must demonstrate a level of intellectual maturity to be able to separate the chaffs from the wheat. So every time people say things, you have to make our people, it boils down to our people. And I hope that the education you do in your program, you have been doing so well. I follow your media outlet to educate our people, is for them to always make the right decision and who to believe. It will come down to that. We have also gone through a lot of problems in our struggle as Ambazonia, where our people are confused. They don't know who to follow, who to listen, because everybody sounds genuine. But when it comes to action, that is where you know the people who are really for something and who are against. Because those who are double agents, you can know them for one easy way to know them. They are people who oppose things, which is for good. They just oppose it. There is no, for example, if I am of a different group of Biafra and I don't support IPOB, I'm not IPOB member, and I hear that IPOB, they are marching in Brussels for the sake of freedom of my people, and I'm not in that group, I will just sit quiet. If I'm genuine, I will not be there beating my head, because if they do it, it will not take away anything from me. So when you see people who are going out of their way to condemn things that are good, there is no way you can say a protest in Brussels to the European Union is bad. Then you have to start know that these people who go around criticizing this movement, they are just fake people. It's like the people who are saying that they don't like, there's this guy, they have given him access in Nigerian press to talk about Ambazonia there. They are facilitating things for him, the Buhari government. And he represents himself as Ambazonian leader. There are also people who present themselves to us. They call us every day to say that they are the real IPOB, they are the real Biafran people. But at least we have institutions and we have very smart people that do understand these things, and we can make distinction about who is not who, and we know for sure that our relationship is not just IPOB. It's the Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and the IPOB, Dr. Cho Ayaba and the governing council. They intend to bring the Ambazonian people and the Biafran people together, so that both states and organizations can work together. So we always focus on that, so that tomorrow, if our leaders are not there, even if our organizations are not there, our people will know that the people who were really heroes, who were true selfless leaders, have shown us the light. They are like Jesus. They have shown us the way. This is the way you can do for your freedom. And I believe Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, I believe in his leadership, I believe in Dr. Cho Lucas Ayaba and their honesty and their commitment to our flag. And they have shown us that this is the right way.
Excuse me, I want you to repeat what you just said. You said you believe on the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which is DOS. Is it what you are saying?
Oh, 1,000%.
Thank you.
1,000%. I have zero doubt.
Thank you.
This man is somebody that has been chosen by God to lead the Biafran people. He has done everything from the time he escaped from the lion's den, and he came out within a short period of window. The word that he has said has laid the foundation for Biafran freedom. He has done everything already. The only thing I can advise, because we have a lot of problem each time I also have a platform where I talk. We have a lot of people who say don't talk about Biafran politics, internal politics, because as a partner we must stick to organizational relationship. But I'm not saying this as the deputy defense chief. I'm speaking as a citizen of Ambazonia and somebody who wants Biafra to be free. This is my advice I will give to the Biafran people. and to the leadership of the IPOB as an independent person, not as an official. Do not expect Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to say anything to you again. You are just putting unbearable burden to a man who is paying a huge price for his people's freedom. Allow him in peace and focus to liberate the people. He has said everything that he wants to say. If you doubt or you are going through some difficulties and challenges, go back to his speeches where he was free and listen to what he said. Don't listen to what he is saying now, not because he is not capable, not because of anything, but for strategic reason, for sanity reason. Focus on what he told you before he was in jail. Focus to what he did before he is there, and you will get your freedom so easily. Because right now, I don't want to say anything controversial because we have a project in June. But what I would tell you is that I don't know if I should say this, we're almost done, right? It's like we're out of time.
Please, I think you are going to give us more like 30 minutes, because is it possible?
Okay.
The man in charge, the leader of DOS, is going to come up today, but we still have some time. He is going to come up on 7:30. So we still, if you can give us also 30 minutes, because I still have more two questions to ask you. And before I will go further, but I have to say this to our people, because I am kind of a man that don't use political correctness. Whenever I'm doing my things, I always nail it. And I will say this in a word that our people will understand. Pardon me by saying this. Simon Eba, I hope you have heard it. Simon Eba Njoko, I hope you have heard what CAPO Daniel said. That he believed on the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, which is DOS, led by Mazi Shike Doziem. And I hope those gullible ones that are following Simon Eba have heard that the Ambazonians, they are full in support. Not in support, they are in combine of this movement that we are going to have in June 14 and 15. They are partner on it. I hope every one of us understand this. I hope our people are listening very careful, because I call people by their names so that they will understand. Simon Eba, please stop all this your nonsense. You have to stop all this your nonsense. And we are going to bring the Oduduwa people too. My brother Mazi, do you still want to say something before I will move straight to the next question? Because you have already said everything that we want to hear. Believe it, we are going to cut this particular place. We are going to cut it and we're going to distribute it to everybody. Do you want to say something before I move straight? Because that's a very important question again that I want to ask you. I know that. Please give us that time, please. 30 minutes is enough. We are done. Thank you.
So I will speak as an activist and a freedom fighter, not as an official of the Ambazonian Governing Council when I say this. Avoid people who use Mazi Nnamdi Kanu to justify their position in your liberation movement. Avoid them at all costs. The enemy of Biafra will use anybody and will not stop to infiltrate everybody. Assume that every organization is possibly infiltrated or under the influence, because there are people, the way Nigeria work is, they have people who contact you to advise you, to influence you. They will continue to do that. They also use other means to affect people and influence them. And the greatest thing you can do for people that have been subjected to a level of disenfranchisement from a state, stripped of all their dignity, is their ego. They play into your ego and the egos of your leaders so much that it will make them to become blind to common sense and practical things that will lead you to your freedom. I've been in many meetings. I've been called in many private meetings with many separate leaders of your group, especially the Biafrans in the United States, to provide them with advice, because I lead an intelligence department in our movement that have access to a lot of information and a lot of intelligence, and I've given them the same advice. Be very practical, be very accommodating, and do the right thing irrespective of who created an initiative. Just because you are right today does not mean that another person will not be right tomorrow. Stop attacking things that are right and things that make sense. Stop taking positions just because somebody else has taken another position. A true patriot will go out of his way to shake the hands of his enemy to do the right thing for their country and will leave behind a good example. So every leader, in every activist, everybody who have a platform should always come around patriotism, nationalism. The Biafran movement have been built on what makes their ingredient as a people. But now, with the stage where Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have kept the movement of Biafra, it has to move away from agitation. It has to move away from protests at home. It has to get into, the leadership have to move it into nationalism, internationalization, as they are doing with this protest, and focus more on what brings you people together, your nationalism. Institution. Leadership should sharpen institutions. Institutions should sharpen leadership, and initiatives are the tangible things that you should look forward to. So when there are initiatives, you put aside your partisan cap and fall and get into work. When you get into a place where you are unable to support initiatives simply because of ideological differences or personality differences, then my brother, ask your wife to scratch your head and ask you that, where have you kept your Biafran flag? Remember, at the end of the day, all of you have Biafran flag. Remember that. So that is all I have to say. I don't want to get too personal to call names of your leaders, because that will not be very proper for me. But if I give advice like that, I hope I have tried my best.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
You have already advised them. They are listening. And some of you that are just joining us right now, who you are seeing direct on your screen right now is CAPO Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief of Ambazonia, the Deputy to Show Ayaba. I hope every one of us understand who is our guest today. And as we are moving forward, I thank you very, very much for this more explanation, because believe it, you nail it. You tell us what we want to hear. You really tell us exactly what we want to hear. But something I want to let you know. There is some group of people, they call them autopilots. They have no leader. Of course, I know that they have already reached you people, but I want you people to be careful of some people call themselves autopilot. These people have no leader, and they are telling us that they are fighting for Biafran liberation. I want you people to beware of any man that will come and tell you that they are autopilot. I will stop it there. I just want you people to take note. Now, my second to last question is this. You can, if you want, you brief it so that we can be able to conclude. So my next question is about the leader of Ambazonia, who is today in the prison. Sisiku Ayuk. Yeah. So what are you people are doing to free him to join his own people back? I just want you to tell us about him, because believe it, this man is a great man. This man have paid a lot. Is exactly what our leader is doing today, the leader of indigenous people of Biafra, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. He's there fighting for me. He's there suffering today because of I and some and many of our people in Biafra land. Why others are there castigating him? And you know the worst part of it is, like, these people, they are using the name of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu as their leader. I want you to tell us about the leader of Ambazonia, who is today in prison. What are you people doing to free him? Thank you.
Yeah, our leader in jail, Siseko Ayuk Tabi, he is the head of his organization. Is called the Ambazonian interim government of Ambazonia, and I was his ambassador to Asia and the Middle East as well. I have served him as an activist, and when our struggle started, it started as a revolt, because we also have a nationalist movement that was going on right from the time Cameroon took control of our territory. But it really took speed in 2016, where our people rose up against marginalization and the imposition of French in our system. So he emerged as the leader of the joint platform that was created then. And there was a lot of infighting, a lot of debates during the time of his leadership, because he was the people who brought him to power. They were having a lot of strong hand against him, and it was a very nasty politics. And unfortunately, this very good man who have done so much for our people was kidnapped in Nigeria, in Biafra. Not in Biafra, in Nigeria, in Abuja, in Naira Hotel, and was renditioned back to Cameroon illegally. So since then, his organization was taken over by some people who, by their own actions and their own testimony today, have proven that they have been working with the Cameroon government. They are publicly, their friends have publicly come up with evidence that they were bribed, and they have brought scandals and a lot of shame to our movement. But I think that we have gone past that. In terms of what we are doing to free him, the Ambazonian Governing Council, that has emerged as the biggest movement now for our liberation movement. For us, we believe in liberation through the liberation of our people. We believe that political prisoners represents the image of, they are like the flagship of the struggle. They are the face of the struggle, and our aim to our way to release them is not through the legal means. We oppose the spending of huge sum of money to hire lawyers to represent him in the Cameroon court, because we believe that you don't get freedom through the court system. For us, we believe that the best way to liberate him is to fight Cameroon on the battle. 2 days ago, our forces carried out an operation, and they arrested a Cameroon appointed senator representing in our territory, and we have asked for prisoners exchange through the International Red Cross. We believe to release somebody who was kidnapped by Cameroon state, the only best way to do is to arrest people that are of similar caliber within the Cameroon state for them to do that exchange. When it's war, it's war. Arrest of a leader like that is a declaration of war. So we don't think that you go and be arguing with them in their court system, quoting their kangaroo laws, thinking that you get anywhere with it. So for us, we are fighting. We do support them financially in terms to maintain their dignity while they are prisoners of conscience, and we go to the battlefield. Our previous leaders, he's not the first one who have been put in jail. Our first leader who was put in jail, we carried out a special commando that trained for over 2 years and break him out of prison in Cameroon and to move him into Biafra and into Nigeria, and the guy now is in the United States. He's called Dr. Ebenezer Kwanga. So we believe that if you put your mind truly to do something, you can do it, and that is how we are doing for him. We are using other ways to remove him other than the legal practice. I know this may be controversial, if I may say this say this to you guys. There was a time when some of your let me keep that one out of organization, because I don't want to get fired. Every time I talk about Biafra, I get like a lot of phone calls to tell me, please don't talk about Biafra now. Let's work, or let's continue the good job we are doing at the back door. That is good, but we also have to engage people publicly. There are people who are being, right now, the Nigerian government, or let me put it in parables, a slave master is very satisfied and is very happy to discuss with the slave, to discuss about reducing their working hours and giving them small privileges here. They are saying, oh, this man is not good, this one is not good. They are very happy with those type of cases, because that is, they have accepted their situation as slaves. So all they want is that they should give them more water to drink and more time to rest, and rights to have children or not to have children. The slave master is very happy with that. He's okay to that. So I will say right now, Nigeria is very happy to have Mazi Nnamdi Kanu go through this ordeal, going to court, Biafran lawyers coming and arguing. They give them points here and there. They make victory, legal victory here and there, and they're happy. It gives Nigerian government a chance to tell the Biafran people who have not embraced their nationalism that our legal system is working. There can be justice here. It is a charade. It plays well in their hand, and it diverts the Biafran people away from what Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was doing. Trust me, Nnamdi Kanu have said that Biafra must be free, he's willing to sacrifice his life, and he has put his life already, he has sacrificed that life. So Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will not like you to be focusing yourself on him, but rather he will want you to focus yourself on the program that he has set ruling, because the Nigerian government kidnapped him because they wanted to stop that program, not him as a person, but what he was doing. So that work he was doing has to continue. As we love him so much and we want him to be free so much, it should not be our weakness, because the enemy knows that we love Mazi Nnamdi Kanu so much that they can divert all of our attention to him and we forget about what he wanted, which he says is better, is important more than his life, which is the freedom of the Biafran people. So the court case that is going on, I say this as an individual, not as an official. Any person who thinks that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu will be released by court case is incompetent. It's incompetent. Nigerian government will never release somebody by law who he was not arrested by law in the first place. This is war. If you want Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, just like the people of South Africa wanted Mandela to be free, they did not fight that case in court. They know it is a case that they have lost. As a matter of fact, you want that case to be over as soon as possible. And then you get to the real job. Kick Nigeria out of Biafra and free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. If you want to free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you miss a big opportunity in the last election, because the Nigerian intelligence services had huge success in tampering down the anger of the Biafran people and managing it so much that they have a degree of success in the electoral box, that you have political participation in election. We tried to help, but we were really restrained by respect and protocol. You should never again, never again allow one single ballot box in the name of Nigeria in Biafra if you want to free Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. This is more important than the lawyers. Anybody that votes in election in Nigeria, a Biafran, is like somebody putting a spear in the heart of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and there is no forgiving for that sin. The day you will make sure that even after this election, you go back and set an example to all those enablers who are sons and citizens of Biafra, that enables a subjugated system of Nigeria to impose itself through the electoral box, and giving a justification to the international community that Nigeria and Biafra, they are okay. They are the reasons why you suffer till the next elections for the how do you call them again, the so-called governors you have. Now these governors have a semblance of legitimacy. No matter what you say, the international community will say, let's go and listen to what the governor says. If I'm the one, I will ban all the governors from setting their foot in Biafra. It is more important to get rid of these guys than even the zoo animals that goes around and prowl your street. Make sure there is no governor, no elected official. There should be no elected official in Biafra representing Nigeria. Whether you are a senator, you are a parliamentarian, no matter how good you are, the Biafran people don't need that type of goodness again. You are not agitators again. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu have elevated Biafran out of agitation. The era of agitation is over. Now is the time of freedom. The independence declared by President Ochukwu, has never been reversed. He has the right. What you guys have not done so much is the legal argument of the injustice of the amalgamation, which was validated by the Soviet Anglo Pact that was signed by the British government, that established that they knew that indigenous people's rights must be respected in any engagement in any territory that they hold as trust territory. As a protectorate, they could not allow the amalgamation, which was against the will of the Biafran people. So the Ochukwu was right, and he has been validated by history, and the future will validate him. the same as Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, go in for liberation of Biafra. Stop using strategies for agitation, thinking that you are fighting an agitation. That level is over. Nigeria will not give you freedom. You will have to kick Nigeria out of your house, because right now it is Nigerian inside Biafra. It's not Biafra in Nigeria. Kick Nigerian out of Biafra, and Biafra will have the space to be free. And who is Nigeria? Nigeria is your governor. He is the one who represents the Nigerian state. The Nigerian military, the Nigerian police, and the DSS, all those people are just the ones to create the environment for that real vampire to be there. So as much as you go after these tools that they have set in their security network, their security apparatus there, the framework of Nigerian as a state, which is the administrative arm, you have to kick them out. You don't have a choice. If they are Biafran blood, my brother, remember what the Afghanistan did to their own. Remember what even the French did to their own traitors who work with the British people. Remember what the South Africans did with their own people who were traitors. You have to have zero tolerance to these people. You have to stop giving them respect and dignity, calling them governors, and people still looking on them and even thinking about their opinion. These are your worst enemy. They are worse than Buhari. If you think that Buhari is a devil, let me tell you, my brother, those people who have accepted to be governors, they are the worst. These are the people who took out General Ikosun. General Ikosun, his blood is still calling out for the youth of Biafra. At that moment, you have the perfect storm. Somehow, these demons, they hold it, they had Nnamdi Kanu in their hands. Maybe I always think about it. When I think about it, I feel so depressed. But I think that somehow, like the story of the Bible of Jesus Christ, when the devil thought that he killed him and he has stopped his movement, that is actually when his movement started. So I hope that even with the incarceration of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the death of General Ikoso, it will enlighten the spirit, my brother. The spirit of the heart of the Biafran youth are already free. All they need is that leadership should focus and harness that energy and kick Nigerian out of Biafra. Don't harness that energy for popularity. Don't harness that energy for social media likes and all those stuff. Harness that energy for one thing. They say, like you started the show, you say the violent taketh it by force. Biafran independence is by force. It's not by negotiation. It's not by I have heard you guys talking so much about election, referendum. Referendum is already election, already freedom. Take your independence by kicking Nigeria out of your country. I yield.
Thank you very much. The last question, and also at the same time, I want you to use it as your closing remark. At the same time, I want you to advise the great people of Ambazonia and Biafran people at the same time. But this last question now is this. Is it anything that going to happen? For instance, can it be any negotiation for the Ambazonians leaders and the people of Ambazonia to abandon Ambazonia to go back to Cameroon? Is it anything that can happen? I mean, to change their mind, to say that they want to still stay in the same, concocted place. I don't know how to put it anymore.
I cannot even imagine a scenario where we can say that we can go back to Cameroon. It will never happen. It's not something that we can conceive. There are a lot of water have gone through the breach. We have gone through a genocidal war where we watch fellow Africans black on black murder on our streets. The Cameroon military have been butchering our people. They have burned down over 600 villages. They have killed over 30,000 of our civilians, burning elderly citizens in their house, raping our women, humiliating our citizens. For the past 60 years since we left the eastern states of Nigeria, the Enugu House of Assembly, we came to Cameroon. We have been suffering a lot, my brother. We were once the first self-governing territory in Africa. We had a democratic system with free elections, democratic change of power. The Cameroon state came into our territory. They destroyed the first African airlines we had. They destroyed our police force. They have brought us nothing but pain. It is our right as a people to determine the political outlook of our territory. And we have determined that what suits for us is our independence and complete separation from Cameroon. This is not something somebody can decide for us because these are indigenous rights. It is our choice. We have decided to be free and to be an independent country. It is inconceivable. There is no scenario where we can go back to Cameroon. We will continue to fight and resist Cameroon presence in our territory until the last Cameroon is booted out or until independence comes our way.
Thank you very much for this wonderful exclusive interview that we have today with you, Capo Daniel, the Deputy Defense Chief of Ambazonia, the Deputy to Show Ayaba. We thank you very much, and we are also looking more forward to bring you once again, or to bring one of the leadership that are going to be, discuss with us, because this alliance of Ambazonia and Biafra will continue. And I don't know if you have anything to tell the Ambazonian people. I mean, just to give them a word of encouragement, tell them to stand resolute, and I hope that the Ambazonians armies, the men on the ground, I know that they are formidable and they are ready to restore their land, Ambazonia. So if you have some little bit, word of advice to them, then we call it a day. Thank you, Mazi.
So what I will have to say to the Ambazonian people and to the people of Biafra is that for you to be free, for you to be free men, you have to first of all free your mind and really ascertain who you are as a people. You are people of Biafra, you are the people of Ambazonia, a free people born free in your homeland, and it is your right to be free, and it is your right for your country to be free. Let nobody deceive you to contemplate that you will be better off in Nigeria or Cameroon. You will never be. Our people have suffered a lot throughout our history, from slavery to colonialism, and our people have a golden opportunity with the leadership and vision of Dr. Chuayaba and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, who have been selfless individuals. This type of people come in the history of every nation just once in hundreds or maybe thousands of years. And we are the never again generation. It is upon this generation that our country's freedom will be born. It is time for us to rise like those Africans who fought against colonialism, to fight against the hegemony that have held our people in substitute, in poverty, and in lack of opportunity. We must, as a people, rise up to meet the challenge of our time, not only with words, but with action. To those of our boys and men who are on the ground, in Biafran streets and in Ambazonian streets, you have to make sure that you do the right thing. Think out of the box. Do the right thing with these terrorist Cameroon troops, with these terrorist Nigerian forces that run our streets, and take them out. You are condemned to fight this monster with arms. The Europeans, the Americans did not have their freedom and their prosperity handed upon them in a platter of gold. They fought for their freedom. If you are Biafrans enjoying democracy and freedom in the diaspora, you have an obligation to support the armed resistance. I'm not talking about you support this group, this lawyer, this. You have an obligation to support the armed resistance. No matter what your opinion is, if you decide to support humanitarian, to do whatever you are, you have the duty to support the armed resistance. For the Biafran people who are appointed by the Nigerian government, you have to separate yourself, deny yourself from the riches of this world, resign, and join your people and fight for their freedom. They deserve it. They are worth it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Capo Daniel. Thank you for this wonderful time that you gave to us. We really, really appreciate it. And like I said, we are still looking forward to bring some of the leadership also on IPOB Rapture Media under the leadership of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, because we are working with the leadership. Thank you very much, my brother. I call you my brother. You are my brother. And believe it, we must restore our land, our dignity, our motherland, and our self-being. We must, because we must make Africa great. Thank you, my brother, for joining me. We call it a day. Thank you very much.